Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to No Remorse versus the Red. My name is Nature. I am joined by Spuddington, and this is game 2 in this best of 3 series. The winner, of course, will advance to the quarterfinals. Welcome, Spuddington.
Hello, good to be back. It is an interesting situation we find ourselves in, though, because the Red, one of the famed teams from Russia, does very well generally in Challenger tier events. Indeed, I believe we saw them at IEM, but at the moment, really on the back foot, because they were ahead early on in that game. They got a good 2-on-1 swap up, which really muted Rammus's ganking effectiveness early on. Couldn't make any Thresh Lantern ganks. And yet, in spite of that, they weren't able to deal with their opponent's mobility, and they couldn't pin anyone down in their team fights. So, No Remorse, a team that hasn't been together, at least completely with their current lineup, with Odoamne, for very long at all, suddenly seems to be showing themselves to be a very strong contender, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, but you can't always judge off of a single game the quality of the two teams involved. Any game can snowball, any team can get outpicked as a once-off. So we'll see how the Red adjust their strategy. Nature, what have been the champion picks?
Well, so far, when I look at bans, nothing really interesting, except from the Karma, of course, which the Red has decided to ban out against No Remorse. Well, that is quite a wise decision, if you were to ask me, because they really did have a lot of trouble with the Karma, who was blowing up people all over the board. As right now, the Red have locked in the Shyvana, which has, of course, been let through the ban phase.
Yeah, Karma was a key factor last game in why the Red was never able to close with their opponents. In addition to the fact they were generally very slippery, very fast characters with good, escapes, gap closes, etc. The fact that Karma has the ability to effectively put a Shirelia's effect on your entire team, and then you can, couple that with the fact that gives them all a massive shield as well, and she has a slowing Q on a very short cooldown, you can see how it suddenly adds a lot to a team whose main aim is just to kite and to poke around rather than actually going for a full-on dive-in engagement. And so obviously that was banned out. Now, I have to question here. They are taking Shyvana out. That does make a lot of sense for the Red, but allowing the Rengar through for Odoamne again, it's going to be an easier matchup than last time. Rengar won't outscale Shyvana in the same way he does Renekton, but Odoamne really did show a good performance last game on that champion.
Yeah, he really shows he is a force to be reckoned with, as right now we do have Nixar looking to pick up the Lucian, as he did lock that one in. The Monko picking up the Sona, quite an aggressive poking lane right there. On the other side of No Remorse, however, we do have Sliver picking up the Caitlyn this time around, so not picking his comfort champion Ezreal, and Dan looking to pick up the Yasuo now, or he is actually hovering over that. Now I'm not too sure that is actually allowed, so we'll just go.
I think it actually is. I think historically, in the Challenger series, we tend to allow the new champion just on the ground that it's a more interesting thing to watch. I'm not 100% if we have that as a set rule one way or the other, and I think we tend to ban them if it turns out they're kind of broken, but as it happens, I don't think Yasuo is if they did lock that in. Regardless though, picking out Lucian Sona is a real statement of intent. You want to bully some people out of your lane in a 2-on-2. That can get really scary with a ton of burst, plus transitions pretty well as the time goes by. Obviously Lucian is probably the top AD carry at the moment, and Sona with Crescendo is incredibly strong at the moment. So what have No Remorse actually locked in?
Now, No Remorse have actually locked in the Wukong.
Ooh.
Which surprises me a little, but I did see it on the tier list of some pro players on the tier 1. So we're just going to have to see how that works out, I guess.
Yeah, Wukong is in an interesting... I mean, he's a very unusual champion at the moment. He might be running in the jungle, as you said, and I believe that was St. Vicious's tier list. He put Wukong jungle in the top tier, which is an interesting choice. He does have some incredibly valuable tools, and he scales very well, but it could equally be a Wukong mid, which can work also really, really well, is really, really strong. Wouldn't be, could be a Wukong top, but that would imply a Rengar jungle, which would be not impossible, but less likely than usual. Things to note about Wukong, though, he is a very, very strong duelist early levels, and will scale up incredibly well, gets a lot of free tankiness from his passive. Now, I can see on the stream, which is where I'm spectating from, although Nature is not, they will pay hovering over Riven. Have they locked that in?
No, they have actually locked in the Orianna and the Evelyn. So looking for a little bit of stealth action in the jungle for Dimashka right there. I hope I'm not butchering his name too much, as on the other side, Big Goose is hovering over the Galio. Which would surprise me, because we do not see that too often. But then again, the Wukong did surprise me as well. And we might just have NoRemorse having a tendency to pick some out of the ordinary champions here.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did pick Rammus last game and Karma, so unusual champions. Although Karma is starting to see a bit more acceptance, for instance, in the Korean scene. I think she's generally seen more as a support than a mid laner, which is what NoRemorse ran her as. Regardless, though, Wukong has always been a champion in which there have been a few highly skilled individuals that really play well on that champion. And obviously, if NoRemorse feel comfortable running Wukong, then that's really, really interesting and good. Galio, on the other hand, is, I think, the least picked champion in the game at the moment. Did they actually lock that in? And have we checked if it's a placeholder?
They have locked it in. So we're just going to have to check whether that is a placeholder. For those of you who do not know what the concept of a placeholder is, sometimes when players do not own the champion and they want to switch it out with a teammate, they choose a completely unusual champion like Teemo, say, and then they indicate to us that it is a placeholder. Now I am not getting any. Oh, so it actually is a Galio. Wow, this is going to be extremely interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they've picked themselves a heck of a wombo combo between the two of them. Galio and Wukong, that is a lot of AoE damage and a lot of AoE crowd control as well to chain into it. The rest of their composition, though, may not suit that so well. I mean, Rengar, obviously, he can split push indefinitely, and that is most likely what he'll be doing a lot of the time. Caitlyn works decently well with any kind of composition, but isn't specifically an AoE sort of person, and Thresh is decent, again, in AoE comps, but it's not like they've gone all massively in on that, which is actually something that the Red likes to do. The Red almost actually have more AoE this game, what with having Shyvana as a ball carrier, the Crescendo, and the Agony's Embrace as well. So maybe just looking to use those as potential counter engages. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a legitimate Galio pick. I asked if it's a placeholder. They have definitely picked that up. So guys, we're going to be going into a quick commercial break, but if you want to place a bet on the result of this match, which is going to be an interesting one, I really couldn't call it right now, you can type !bet in our chat, and I believe you will be able to follow some instructions there, which will enable you to bet on the result of the match. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you after this break. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is No Remorse versus TheRED in the Chaos TV EUS Challenger Series number 16. Got to keep an eye on Nixar in this bottom lane. I will transition over to you, Nature, in just 1 second because I think they're going to go in for this.
Oh, Death Sentence Connect. Nixar gets caught up and he is going to go down. No problem for No Remorse. They pick up the first blood. And the very first shots fired right there towards TheRED. And once again, showing why No Remorse is a force to be reckoned with. So welcome to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of action going on in these early levels.
Now, this is some funky stuff right here. Going for the laughter and the jokes, etc. there. Okay, I mean, fair enough there. They did get that first blood. Now we get to see Galio mid. So, fun fact for you, ladies and gentlemen. 2 fun facts I have for you about Galio and Big Goose here. He has a 100% win rate with Galio in ranked solo queue. He's played 1 game and he won it. So he has a 100% win ratio, so very, very practiced on that champion, I presume. The other thing is that Galio is the least popular champion in the game. Literally no other champion is picked less than Galio. So we'll see how this works. I haven't seen him in a long, long time myself. I believe maybe I saw him in like Season 2, which is quite a while ago now. But, you know, maybe he can make it work. I don't know. Galio does have some really unique aspects to him.
Yeah, we are going to have to see here, starting out with 2 fairy charms and some health potions. So no really solid items right there as he starts off with only regeneration at this point. He's having some trouble at this point farming against They Will Pay, who is constantly keeping that pressure on him. And, well, of course, because the Galio is not a ranged champion, he is going to have trouble against the Orianna. The top lane, Oduamne and Fares facing off against each other. Oduamne taking a little bit of damage because of that twin bite, of course. And no lane swaps this game around. So that is interesting, as, well, I don't think TheRED actually wanted to lane swap because they are going to outpoke No Remorse's bot lane regardless of... they are going to outpoke any lane, actually, regardless of what lane they're in at this point.
Yeah, and I actually did just notice there's a couple of pings coming down on that ward, which you can see near the Wraith camp that Dan is currently clearing. So they clearly know that is there. Wukong does have the capacity to stealth up, remember, and he's got Flash, he's got Red buff, and a gap closer. He may choose to go around the other side now. Knowing that Orianna will not have a ward, knowing that she started with the Doran's Ring and where the trinket is down, They Will Pay is currently in a quite dangerous situation, but Evelyn is close by. We'll see if they can make this work.
Well, They Will Pay is in real trouble here. Here comes Dan, gets the red buff proc on with the Q. They Will Pay takes a whole lot of damage as we do have the Nimbus Strike coming out there. Dan decides against pursuing in the end. They Will Pay is forced to back away, actually, so Big Goose will get himself a little bit of free farm in that middle lane, which he certainly is going to need, as he is a 10 farm behind already on the They Will Pay. So he's going to be happy with the gank, and I suspect he's going to be needing some more of those.
Yeah, this is one of the weaknesses Galio tends to suffer. He does really seriously lack the ability to deal with Orianna's harass early on. Obviously, once he's got Bulwark, he can put that on, but he's still only mitigating the damage he's going to take. Oduamne actually going very, very low in that top lane there, so very unfortunate for him. Yeah, Galio does have some strength, but unless he gets a lot of ganks, unless he's able to get teleport kills, and I completely missed what was going on in the top lane there, but unless he's able to get teleport kills with his teleport there and presumably his ultimate, he's going to have a lot of trouble in this mid.
In the top lane, we saw Oduamne actually flashing for the kill, and by flashing, he put himself into turret range, so he ate a turret shot and he went down. So that is a 1-for-1 trade in the top lane. Oduamne picked himself up a kill, but of course so did Fares. So they'll be getting themselves some items because of that, and well, no real lead for either of them, as we do have Oduamne actually sitting on a 10 creep score lead
Teleport him
over
back.
Fares, as we do have the teleport coming in of Big Goose. He is not quite going to hit that Q on towards Nixar. Nixar does get flayed back. It's a little bit of damage on himself, but he is not going to go down, as Big Goose, of course, has to get into really close ranges to get that auto attacks in, and he didn't quite manage to connect those kills. So he will be just rotating back towards that middle lane. They will pay. He's warding that river. And Big Goose has called Dan over to farm while he was gone. So everything resetting a little bit. As we do have Dimashki getting spotted out by that pink ward. He will be clearing that one out. And well, as we do have a little bit of a lull once again in this game.
Yeah, kind of going back to that point earlier about Galio's problems. Now he's not actually going to have his teleport, having used it for that gank then. That's going to cause some serious issues because it's hard to say exactly what his plan is now going to be. He is not going to be able to cope with this mid lane. He is not really going to be able to roam and gank very easily, especially considering he does actually know where that ward is, but it's going to limit his possible paths. And the longer he stays in the lane, the further he falls behind. Evelyn in the bot lane, though, is going aggressive. No ult.
Yeah, Sliver was forced to flash. As you said, Dimashka doesn't quite have the Agnes Embrace, so as we did have move air flashing as well. In the meantime, meanwhile, that middle lane we do have, they will actually picking up Big Goose, but he put himself into third range, so he goes down as well. That is the second time that has happened this game. Meanwhile, that bottom lane, we might have Demonko and Nixar rather, trying to put some damage on that turret. Sliver and Mover will be able to defend this one. Death Sentence connecting towards Demonko. Demonko takes a Piltover Peacemaker to the face, and that is the end of that trade. And once again, everything resets a little bit. And, well, nothing really too interesting happening just now.
I got to say, that kill in the mid lane there really strikes me that They Will Pay may have just not got any experience playing against Galio. He tried to go all in, and Bulwark was on him. Big Goose ended up not taking nearly as much damage as they predicted as a result, and he had to go very, very deep to try and secure the kill, and in his backing out, he wasn't able to get anything done. Dimalke now looking for Dan. He may be able to kill him.
Yeah, Dan is in real trouble here. Dimalke gets those hate spikes in there. Dan gets a good juke. Flashes in the end, as we did have the Agnes Embrace completely whiffing, but They Will Pay now trying to get as much damage as he can on towards Big Goose. Big Goose gets that Righteous Gust out, and he will be returning to that lane. Now, we do have Dimashka going back towards his jungle. And, oh, wow, Big Goose taking a whole lot of damage in that middle lane. They will be shoving in this lane. And then I don't think Big Goose can actually take another combo. There you have it. Dissonance not quite connecting. They Will Pay takes another Righteous Gust to the face. And, well, Big Goose survives to see another day. So he might have Oduamne in trouble in that top lane. But we do have Dimashka heading over there. Oduamne, I do think he'll be able to get out of there. As Dimashka, of course, Oduamne is a little bit too slippery for this. But we do have the Dragon's Rage being used. Or the Dragon's Ascent, rather. Oduamne is going down to the Ignite ticking. And there you have it. A kill picked up for Fires. And they are looking to damage that turret.
Yeah, really, really nice kill there, and it does seem like NoRemorse are putting themselves a little bit far behind at the moment. With their champion picks, their lanes aren't working out brilliantly. Bottom lane, Caitlyn actually keeping up on farm, but constantly pressed up against her tower, taking quite a lot of harass, not a lot of kill potential there, but actually is doing okay keeping up on the farm, so not as big of a concern as I had feared. Meanwhile, in top lane, Rengar getting a little bit ahead on the farm front, so Oduamne once again showing himself to be a really, really solid Rengar player. But this mid lane is going to kind of hemorrhage gold unless they do something to cut that off. They are getting a kill on Sona though, so I am once again well behind the action.
And Mover did get a good death sentence down on Demonko, and as a result he used the box and then the Ignite, and that was all she wrote for the Sona. So yet another kill being picked up for them right there. Big Goose gets a pink ward into the river, and well, to spot out the Dimashko, of course, as we do have Dan actually standing by to maybe gank. They Will Pay her. They Will Pay looking to scout out that river maybe here, as he gets a good ward in there, and that will spot out Dan, as Dan did show himself out of the bush. So no gank for Dan at this point, and well, that is that for now. Ooh, Big Goose once again taking a whole lot of damage, and I believe that the Galio is actually supposed to withstand ability power champions in that middle lane, but I might be wrong.
Well, he does have some issues when they keep hitting him over and over again.
Yeah.
And obviously Bulwark does benefit more from multi-tick damage, such as Cassiopeia's Poison. That was in fact the classic Season 2 matchup. Cassiopeia versus Galio mid. However, Dan in the top lane has gotten around Fieries. Dragon's Ascent available.
Yeah, Dragon's Ascent gets cancelled by the knock-up out of Dan. Dan isn't quite done with Fires yet. Great flash out of Fires, however. And Fires does live to see another day. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Shockwave coming out. Big Goose uses the Auto of Duran, but it really is not enough, as they will pay gets a kill down on him. Meanwhile, that bottom lane action as well. Mixar gets hooked in back, gets not quite flayed back, but there's a whole lot of damage coming down on him. We do have the culling being used right there. Move there takes a whole lot of damage. I don't think he can actually fight this one. He is forced to back away. Demonko will be picking up that kill, as Sliver will probably be picking up the return kill on Demonko. There you go. And that is 5-5 right now in kills.
Alright, so again, a small advantage there. Big Goose just teleported in on that pink ward. He is sneaking in round behind They Will Pay. Does he have the burst to kill him, and will They Will Pay notice?
I am not too sure. He gets a good Righteous Gust. They Will Pay takes a little bit of damage, as he might just want to run as fast as he can. Here's Dimashka, however, to help and reinforce Big Goose. Dan is here as well. We do have another dissonance coming out. Flash being forced out of They Will Pay. Another flash coming out of Big Goose, slowing They Will Pay. They Will Pay is going down to Dan, and that is yet another kill being picked up for NoRemorse. The Galio pick somehow working out for now.
It was quite a creative play there by Big Goose. I mean, he was essentially purely reliant that They Will Pay would not notice, would not expect such an angle of attack from someone he just saw recall. So very, very clever stuff there from Big Goose. Does pick up the kill as a result. And at the moment, Demonko going low.
Yeah, he uses the Dragon's Ascent. I'm trying to catch up. He uses the Thrill of the Hunt as he jumps on towards Firebase. He is in third range once again, and Firebase doesn't quite die as he manages to finish off Oduamna, so he picks himself up a kill, and he really shows he is a little bit too tanky for Oduamna at this point. And hold that thought for a second, because we do have Dan who might be waiting for They Will Pay, as Big Goose is standing right next to him. Dimashka might be in trouble here. Gets spotted out by Big Goose, and I don't think Big Goose is actually going to be able to pick up this kill. Dan is in trouble if he gets too close to They Will Pay, because we do also have Nixar in the vicinity. They back away in the end, and we do have... I thought they were going for the dragon, but they are not, of course.
Alright, so we do have a pause timer coming in, guys. 10 seconds, says Nixar there, so we're not entirely sure what is going on, but I imagine we'll be able to fulfill that particular request when the time comes indeed. So we're not entirely sure whether it's going to be 10 seconds or 1 minute or 10 minutes. Indeed, could be any of those. Ganked by mom, says Fieries.
What?
This, okay, so presumably he has maternal issues there. Regardless though, game is unpausing. We will be able to get back into the action fairly quickly, and right now it's actually quite a slow-paced game. NoRemorse, they're making a few plays across the map, but there's not a lot of towers falling at the moment. We have had our first one in Fieries getting his off the back of Odoamne's interesting dive, but if this game continues at this pace, I honestly have to favor the red, because their team fighting is going to be really strong with their amount of AoE. They Will Pay could be walking in here.
Yeah, here comes Dan on towards They Will Pay, gets knocked up, and we do have the Auto of Duran coming out as the ace in the hole. There is no living through this for They Will Pay. He goes down to Big Goose. Big Goose picking himself a kill. We do have Yamashki getting spotted out by a ward. He will be clearing that one out. He was rotating over towards that bottom lane, so that might indicate he was looking for a or something to happen right there. As meanwhile, in the top lane, you have Oduamna putting as much damage as he humanly can on towards that turret, and that will not quite fall yet. So Firez successfully defending his turret right there. Now, of course, he really wants to be careful with shoving that lane up towards Oduamna's lane, as Oduamna might get a little bit too much free farm when he decides to do so. So for now, he is shoving a little bit, but he is keeping Oduamna at bay.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation that we find ourselves in right now, though, because Dan taking a lot of damage there in the jungle, and Eve actually heading down for the bottom lane. But a lot of NoRemorse's strategy seems to rely on Odoamne doing well in this top lane and being able to outfight Shyvana one-on-one. At the moment, he's definitely succeeding in that front, and that could well spell a lot of trouble for TheRED in the long term. However, at the moment, there is the potential for a gank on the bottom lane, but I think NoRemorse are just smelling this out. They know Eve could be here, and I think therefore they're just deciding to play it as if she definitely was.
Yeah, even if Eve was not near, we did have, of course, the Crescendo and the Culling available, which would do a whole lot of damage if they managed to catch out Sliver. So they really want to be careful regardless of Eve's position, as they are right now getting a little bit of assistance of Dan, who's looking to maybe put down a gank here on towards Nixar. They are trying to be inconspicuous, but I do feel like TheRED is sniffing this one out as well. Meanwhile, on that top lane, we do have Fires once again going in now towards Odoamne. He is being backed up by They Will Pay, so this is going to be dangerous for Odoamne. He decides to use the Thrill of the Hunt in the end, wisely if you'd ask me, and he manages to back away safely.
However, he's actually going straight back in on They Will Pay.
Oh, They Will Pay is a little bit out of position here. Odoamne gets a good Bola strike right there. He is, however, now trying to get out of there. Great flash out of the shockwave, and he manages to survive to live to see another day. Sorry about that. As we do have NoRemorse taking down the dragon,
and They Will Pay there, getting a fairly good flash, but committing a lot of time to the top lane as a result. NoRemorse free dragon, essentially. That's definitely worth it from their perspective. It's not even like TheRED are going to be able to push this tower in top in response. Too much sustain out of Rengar, and now actually Dan is coming around the corner looking for them in the brush, but not going to find them. Oh, but They Will Pay in trouble.
Yeah, he is forced to flash out of there. Dan might be able to catch up. He has got those boots of mobility running for him, so that is going to be dangerous if he manages to catch up towards They Will Pay. He has spotted out They Will Pay. They Will Pay looking for the execute here. Will he be able to get that? Hold that thought for a second, because he will be able to get that execute for him. Meanwhile, that bottom lane, Dimashka going in. He will not be picking up the kill on towards Sliver. However, Nixar picking himself up a double kill. Here is Big Goose, however, looking for another kill. He will be using the out of the round there. There you have it. He picks up the support Demonco, and he will be backing away. So that is a 2-for-1, and I believe They Will Pay got executed in the top lane.
Yeah, so again, not a lot of towers falling across the board, but the one tower advantage to TheRED is staying around. Now, last game around this kind of point, I think TheRED was starting to lose that lead they had early on. They were not really able to close out many of their kills they were looking for on NoRemorse, and NoRemorse obviously had super mobility on their side, and obviously very good split pushing from Rengar. This time, though, they don't really have nearly such good disengage, and that could prove seriously problematic. They're going to have to keep very careful tabs of both Shyvana and Evelynn if they want to be doing split pushing with Rengar. And that obviously limits his options. Now they're looking for the engage on mid lane, though.
Yeah, but here is Dan. He comes in, knocks up 2, gets a good shockwave up. They Will Pay, that is, but he is going to bite the dust. Now Dimashka trying to retaliate as he does manage to pick up Dan. Big Goose now trying to pick up Dimashka for himself, but here's the Monko to reinforce Dimashka. As we do have Big Goose in the end managing to get out of there. Oh, great death sentence on toward Dimashka, and he is not going to come out of that alive. And now we do have 3 members of that NoRemorse team in that middle lane. They are surely going to put a lot of damage, if not take down this turret.
Yeah, getting nice advantages, and in the top lane, Odoamne may be forced to flash out of this. He doesn't have it.
He doesn't have the flash, however, so he will be going down, or will he? Because he is forcing Fires to get under this turret. Uses the ultimate. Fires, no, he's not going to be able to pick up that kill, and he goes down. That is, well, I guess that is the 4th time that has actually happened this game. Meanwhile, that middle lane, a lot of action. Idle Durand barely catches Nixar. Nixar is going down. Ace in the hole came out a little bit too late. But Big Goose picks up the kill, so action all over the board here. But NoRemorse coming out ahead.
And Big Goose now 5-2 with 3 assists. Significantly better off than Orianna in the mid lane. Even catching up on the farm front right now, although both of them aren't doing perfectly on that particular front. So Big Goose now actually maybe looking for the Resolute Smite from the Lantern, but a little bit difficult to land that skill. It is actually quite a difficult one to land if you're using the full range of it. You need to actually get quite close to make Resolute Smite reliable. However, right now, with RO8 taking that top tower, suddenly NoRemorse, from not having the best early game, but not awful, they are now actually putting themselves significantly ahead, looking for further picks here, but this could be bad. Move Dan in circle.
Yeah, they are encircled indeed. Now Dimashka gets knocked up. Good crescendo comes down on Dan, but he is surely going to go down. Meanwhile, he did manage to get the Dark Passage, but it was all too little too late, as he did go down in the end. Mover does get out of there successfully, however. Because he well, not entirely because he got sped up by the Righteous Gust, but that certainly helped him. As Big Goose might be in trouble if they will decide to get a Shockwave in there, as he does have that one available. Dimashka looking for a gank here maybe, and Big Goose is going to be in trouble if Dimashka decides to do so. Looking to flank around the side, and here he comes. This is going to be really dangerous for Big Goose. Big Goose takes a little bit of damage, but here is Fires to help Dimashka. Big Goose a little bit too tanky for Dimashka. It doesn't quite manage to land a Dragon's Descent. Uses the out of the ramp, but it's not going to be enough, as we do have Fires picking up the kill.
Big Goose honestly just overextending a little bit too much there, a little bit overconfident in his tankiness. Galio, this is one of his problems, is not a particularly mobile champion. It's one of the problems it causes him is obviously it makes it a little bit difficult to get in range to use Idol of Duran without something else to initiate for you. But the other aspect of that is that it means he's not actually a very safe champion when it comes to running away from stuff. And you could see there, pushing forward as long as he did, which gave all the time in the world to the Red to circle around, get themselves set up, put themselves exactly where they wanted to be, because I mean they walked all the way around Big Goose while he was farming with Evelyn. A little bit overconfident, and he maybe needs to play a little bit more carefully, or obviously use that as bait in future. So we'll see, but at the moment fairly close between the two teams there.
Oduamna meanwhile split pushing in that top lane, as we do have Fires being summoned over there by his team to do something about that, of course. In the top lane, Dan and Big Goose looking to pressure that middle tier 2 turret. Dimashki is there to reinforce the situation for that blue team, but here's they will pay. Good shockwave on towards both, but that is the clone. Dan gets out with the ultimate, but Big Goose is in real trouble. Dimashka trying to catch, and he will be able to catch up. So that is yet another kill for Dimashka. Meanwhile, in that jungle, we do have Fires going in on towards Oduam. The flash being used by Dimashka. Will he be able to assist on this one? Yes, he will, and that is a kill picked up for Fires. 2-0. And meanwhile, in that bottom lane, we do have the Culling coming out, but Mover just flexes and walks away.
And indeed, now a Baron attempt coming in. This means Caitlyn Thresh feels safe if they want to push down in that bottom lane. But if they are able to get up there, if Dan is able to sneak in with his stealth, this could actually be quite bad for the Red. But they have a very reliable chance of getting this. They are going to pick that up. That is really now putting NoRemorse quite badly on the back foot because of, honestly, overconfidence and getting too aggressive. Now, how they're going to respond to that fact that they are now significantly behind is an interesting question, because Shyvana seems to be able to push back Rengar one-on-one, and now they're also going to have a lot of difficulty fighting them straight up in easy team fights as well, and indeed not really going to have an easy time against their Siege because of the regen from Baron. So suddenly, seems like the Red have put themselves well back into contention now.
Yeah, NoRemorse not really acknowledging they are a little bit behind, however, as they are continuing to siege in that middle lane. They have rotated over towards that towards that dragon area. In the meantime, Dimashka eats an ace in the hole, and that will not be doing too much damage for him. Sliver and Big Goose might be in trouble if they get caught here. So we do have Dimashka and Fires trying to catch up towards Mover, and Dan and Mover will be reaching the safety of their turret. Meanwhile, that middle lane, we do have Oduamna clearing out those minions as fast as he can. Fires is being forced to recall towards him. We do have Dan recalling as well, and this turret is not going to survive for too long. Mover, I don't think he can actually defend this one, and they might decide to dive him, but he decides to stay within a safe distance, and they back away on all fronts. Oduamna still pushing this one. Oh, here's Dragon's Descent. Fires trying to chase him down. Oduamna, I don't see him coming out alive on this one. He's being slowed continuously by Fires. Fires trying to do work. Here comes Dan. And he will be reinforcing Oduamna. He has used the decoy, and they will be backing away safely.
Now, it's an interesting point to note that Fires, yes, he can now definitely outfight Oduamne one-on-one. He can no longer just sustain through Shyvana's damage, and he can barely scratch the Shyvana armor. The problem here, though, is that without Blade of the Ruined King up, with her ultimate, she's actually going to have a lot of trouble pinning down Rengar to actually force him to respond. So, although she's now a very, very powerful bruiser that can teamfight very, very well, she may find herself spending a little bit more time than she would like to, pushing back waves that Oduamne has been forcing up. However, right now, definitely a good opportunity for them to go for a fight. The Red are in a very commanding position. They've got a decent bit of time left on their Baron. A lot of them have shopped, and that does mean they now have, well, a good opportunity to go for this push. At the moment, it just feels like they're a little bit too scared of that potential either death sentence or flash idol of Durand from Big Goose here. So, at the moment, if this siege continues like this, they're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, something I should note, I think, is that, of course, we do have on the side of NoRemorse a whole lot of powerful wave clear in the form of course, the the Resolute Smite, those Piltover Peacemakers, as we do have Oduamna looking at maybe make something happen around the side here, as he is just sitting in there in the bush and, well, clearing out those monster camps, those jungle camps rather, as we do actually have the Red backing away. I don't think they feel too confident, as you said, sticking around for too long. Oh, Dimashka might be in trouble here. He uses the Agni Embrace. Great crescendo on towards Sliver, and he will be going down. Great out of Durand, however, as we do have a 3-man knock-up coming out of Dan. It is not going to be enough, however. Oduamne now looking to face off against 3. He cannot do this. He is forced to flash. Meanwhile, we do have Dan and the rest of that NoRemorse team backing away. Oduamne is in real trouble. Can they chase him down, because he's so slippery and he is being slowed continuously? Yeah, there's no coming out of that, and they pick up 2 kills.
Being pushed further and further back now. NoRemorse having a lot of problems in this game. Now, as time goes by, they may be able to bring back some advantages, because Wukong will scale very, very hard. Kaelin will scale very, very hard. But they cannot afford to lose too many towers in this intervening time where they are not very strong, and where Shyvana is way too strong for them to deal with easily. It's causing them lots of problems now. Big Goose may look for a kill on this, but I don't think they can burst him down.
No, Fires is indeed a little bit too tanky at this point. We do have Dan maybe looking for a pick around the side once again. Now we do have those members of the Red actually recalling. Oh, he might just catch Nixar out of position here. Nixar, of course, farming those Wraiths, and Dan gets a cheeky little steal in there. No real attempt to kill Nixar right there, and he just returns to that lane. Now, of course, NoRemorse is a little bit behind at this point. And what do you feel like they actually have to do to pull back here?
Well, they put themselves in a very awkward position, because much like they were actually subjecting the Red to last game, their split push is now much weaker than the enemy's.
Fires goes in, but he goes in on towards Sliver. With the shockwave doesn't quite connect. Sliver being forced to flash out of there. Fires takes a whole lot of damage as he is in the whole came down rather, as they will pay picks up that, or Dan picks up they will pay, however, and that is a 1-for-0 at this point. They almost managed to kill Big Goose, but they did not quite in the end. So that is 1 kill on towards the Red team, and Baron is coming up in 1 minute. That might be sketchy, if you will, for the Red, if they will pay is not going to be there in time.
He'll definitely be back up in time. The question, though, is whether the Red can actually get the vision control over that area. This obviously, they lack wards there already, and by the time that spawns, they're going to have, obviously, 1 less tower here. I don't really foresee Fiery's defending this. Dan is straight up tanking him, but no, not going to happen. They may look for the re-engage, but I just don't like this fight.
Oh, Dimashki gets locked up by the Bola strike. He is surely going to go down here. He was a little bit too much out of position right there. Shutdown coming in for that NoRemorse lineup. They are looking to clear out those these jungle camps. Baron coming up in 40 seconds. We do have that NoRemorse team recalling. I believe they actually have the timer, as Mover is now trying to ward that one up. Now, him throwing the lantern in there actually signals me that they might not actually have the timer. And they recall. And Oduamne might be in trouble here, as we do have Nixar trying to chase him down. Great pink ward, great crescendo. And Oduamne is in real trouble. Gets a good jump. Mover is standing by with that dark passage, and he will get out of there.
And at this stage of the game, it's not a major loss blowing Thrill of the Hunt for Oduamne. It's down to a 47-second cooldown at this point, which is massively reduced from when he first unlocked that ability early on. However, losing Evelyn there, if she'd had Agony's Embrace in that team fight, or attempted team fight she tried to initiate, that would have been fine. But at the moment, it looks like there could be another fight in the mid lane. Shyvana does so much damage.
Yeah, power cord coming down on Oduamne. He has been slowed, gets a dark passage right out of there, as Dan uses the decoy to juke into the bush. We do have that ball in there to maybe get a good shockwave in there. Firez is a little bit too deep, and he gets... wow, Sliver taking so much damage, however, as he goes down to Firez almost instantly. He just gets obliterated. Mover going down as well. That is 2 for 0 so far. Now Firez trying to pick up maybe another in that middle lane. Not quite happening just about yet, as those minions are pushing, so they will be taking down that turret. That is disastrous for NoRemorse.
Yeah, now they're really starting to be pushed back. Losing that map control, that's going to mean Baron is much easier to force if they even hold on to their inhibitor. This could be the opportunity for the Idol of Duran, but he doesn't have Flash available. It's one of those rare occasions where I have to say I really recommend someone to buy Distortion Boots, because he needs that Flash cooldown if he wants to engage. Wukong is not engaging reliably enough, and he needs that ability to be separate, because if they bunch up too much, then they're opening themselves up for the return CC from the Red. Now, the Red looking to secure their lead, taking away the Dragon, and a recall now, and presumably, actually, they may fight for the blue buff, but actually, that's dangerous.
Yeah, they will pay getting caught out here of Dan, but Dan is really out of position himself. Good shockwave, and Dan is surely going to be going down here. Ignite is ticking. Oh, he somehow survives, but Nixar is right there to clean up. Now, Fire is in trouble, and Sliver is trying to chase him down, but he is not going to catch up against a Shyvana, of course. And that is yet another kill being picked up right there for the red team. Baron, rather, is up, but I don't think the NoRemorse team can actually go there, as we do have Dimashka pushing that top inhibitor turret.
There's actually a team fight in the jungle.
Yeah, Mover getting caught out. We do have Fires going down. Teleport coming down on the red side, or more side, however. They are looking to chase down Nixar, and Nixar is being reinforced by his support Demonko, but it really isn't working out for him too well. They will pay getting caught out, getting death sentence back in. Sliver will be picking up that kill. Mover will be, however, and that is, well, a good pick for NoRemorse there, but I don't think it's actually enough.
Oduamne fighting off with Jamal K in that upper jungle there, but neither side really able to kill the other. So now it's up to NoRemorse to try and push stuff down. Actually, Rengar finds Eve again.
Yeah, Dimashka is in real trouble here, certainly because Dan is here as well. Dimashka has got that red buff ticking on him, and he is going to go down. Now, the roles are reversed, and NoRemorse is looking to barge down that middle lane. They have picked up that inhibitor turret. They are now looking for the inhibitor, and in the meantime, we actually have Oduamne and Dan picking up the Baron. So they will probably be picking up this inhibitor. Firez is here to reinforce them. Sliver desperately trying to get out of there, almost picking up the kill on Demonko, and he will be getting out of there safely. Now, Firez is trying to hold them off of his base, and Oduamne and Dan still going strong against the Baron, and I don't see actually the Red doing anything about this.
Yeah, they're going to clear this really quickly. It's already down to half health. They've got good sustained damage, and the danger actually here is that the Red may overcommit.
Yeah, Firez goes in. Oh, we do actually have a good death sentence coming down on Nixar, as we do have Dan picking up the Baron in the meantime. Shockwave only pulls in Sliver. He is way too far for anyone to kill at the red team for now. Great Idol of Duran, locks up 3. Nixar takes a whole lot of the damage, gets knocked up. That is 2 kills so far. Double kill coming in for Sliver. Right now, they are chasing down the Nixar, and that is a double kill for Oduamne as well. That is almost an ace for NoRemorse, and they are certainly looking strong again.
And really exceptional chaining of ultimates in that fight. You saw Wukong didn't blow his ultimate immediately. He waited until he was chaining it immediately after Galio's ultimate, after he got himself free from Shyvana's clutches. Just a really, really solid team fight. And a lot of this has come off the back of the Red not grouping themselves up and going for a straight fight. They are still potentially stronger straight up, but they just aren't making the fights that they need to happen, and that is costing them dearly. They aren't chaining their ultimates nearly as well as NoRemorse, and the Galio-Wukong combo is proving to be really brutal now that it's not merely relying on its own damage, it's also providing the time for Caitlyn, who's hit 3 items, to output all that AD carry loveliness from the late game build.
The AD carry loveliness indeed, as we do have Dan pushing, or shoving rather, that bottom lane. They will pay Sent to defend that one, as we do have Dan, well, maybe backing away here, but he decides against it in the end, and starts pushing once again. They will pay is looking to well, maybe make something happen from that brush, as Dan is looking. He's a little bit hesitant here for here, and oh, good crescendo, good shockwave, but is it enough? Because Dan has that ultimate, of course, and here's the dark passage, and he will be getting out of there safely. Now that was a whiffed, well, not entirely whiffed, but that was an unuseful shockwave right there, and that is on cooldown.
Yeah, and Baron regen means Dan isn't actually going to be going down on health. He's got decent cooldown reduction thanks to Ancient Golem and a Brutalizer, so his ultimate, 47 seconds left on that cooldown. Compare that to the Shockwave, and it's 40 seconds, and the Crescendo, 56. Now they're getting engaged!
Yeah, Death Sentence on towards they will pay as the Ace and O connect, but it is not quite enough. They are looking to siege this bottom turret. Firez has joined the party. Death Sentence comes in once again, and they will not be continuing this siege as there are no minions available for either team. Dimashke lurking around the jungle. He might be looking for a pick, but he is a little bit out of position, as Oduamna might find him at this point.
The only thing that they have Eve there for is as a counter-engage if they go for the dive. But NoRemorse are not taking that bait, and they have not spotted Evelynn. They know that she could be in the area, they know she isn't somewhere else on the map, and they also know they have the super minion pressure in the mid lane. Someone is going to be forced to retreat eventually, and that gives them another opportunity to push, if not to make an engage happen. But they have to avoid the Shockwave combo with Shyvana.
Talisman of Ascension comes in. Slimer takes so much damage, as they have found out Dimashke, but we do have the Wukong ultimate coming in. Big Goose uses a great item of the round that will almost instantly blow up They Will Pay, but he gets away somehow. Oduamna now doing work on him, and They Will Pay will be going down. Now he is facing off against 2. He jumps on towards Nixar, as meanwhile we do have a double kill coming in for Slimer right there. Nixar once again getting jumped on by Oduamna. That is a triple kill for Slimer. Nixar going down. That is an ace for NoRemorse, and they are surely looking to close out this game.
Yeah, we have a GG well played actually coming out in chat here from TheRED, and I've got to say, this is a game where I don't like NoRemorse's picks. I don't like the Galio pick. I think they may have actually been having a little bit of fun because they really, really rocked that first game. I've got to say though, their team fighting has just been phenomenal, because they have had bad situations like we saw right at the end there, where Evelynn got a really nice Agony's Embrace, and yet they peeled for her. They kept Shyvana off her for long enough for her to